How can you tell that this is an Almeida production? Just look at the back wall. It's like the 5 millionth Almeida wall in the West End. Patriots is a play that really intrigued me. It focuses on a piece of modern history that we still see a lot of the consequences of to this day. Patriots focuses on Boris Berevosky, a Russian oligarch who found himself in a position of power as he pulled strings to allow for Vladimir Putin to become president of Russia. This play impressed me in places and left me wanting a little bit more in others. So what are my full thoughts on Patriots? Let's find out. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie, I talk about theatre. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do video essays, and if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribe, it really helps me out and helps out the channel. But let's talk everything Patriots. What I very much liked about Patriots, first and foremost, was how it kind of plays with your already existing knowledge of this piece of Russian history. I myself, admittedly, don't know that much. I was like very young when a lot of this went down. And a lot of my Russian knowledge is very limited to just Putin and the more modern conflicts that we've had, namely the Salisbury incident and a lot of what's happening in Ukraine. This play makes the very interesting decision to focus on Boris Berevosky instead of focusing on Putin, who actually, from the start of the play, seems to build himself up as a side character before eventually coming in and being a very main force in Act 2. What I really like about this play is that all of these characters are very three-dimensional. Boris himself is extremely flawed, and you see this throughout Act 1, with the decisions that he makes and the power that he fiddles with eventually coming back to bite him. It poses a lot of these questions and dives into the good and the bad of these characters. This play criticizes a lot on both sides. And honestly, there is a lot to criticize on both sides here. The meddling in politics that Boris Berevosky makes to boost himself up and to make himself more rich is very clearly bad. There's a lot about corruption here. There's corruption in the government, with Boris pulling a lot of the strings behind the scenes. There's corruption with different forces. This play has its flaws though. It's a little bit long and feels like it draws itself out with these very lengthy dialogue scenes. But a lot of this can be forgiven because this cast are just on fire with this material. The conflicts within the show take a while to build. It's only really in Act 2 where we see properly Putin and Berevosky face to face and fighting each other that we really get drawn into the most interesting parts of this story. And you'd be forgiven if you come out of this just wanting more of Will Keane as Putin. Because the viciousness of this dialogue and their interactions is so thrilling and engaging. So overall, while it is a little bit flawed here and there, it does make up for it with this cast, and what a cast. Especially our two leads. Tom Hollander as Boris Berevosky is incredible. His character's so interesting to explore, and Hollander carries these very dialogue-heavy scenes with such passion and a clear understanding of exactly who Boris is. In Act 2, there's these great moments where you see Boris just completely discontent with himself and his lot in life because of what's happened to him. Will Keane as Putin, though, it is a masterclass of acting. What a betrayal. We start off with Putin being this more side character, a little bit more of a smaller force. Keane has quite a soft-spoken nature to Putin, especially within the first moments that we see him. And the play and Keane's portrayal both dive into a lot of the insecurities of Putin, with both the script and the staging reflecting the idea of Putin needing to be seen as big. But the thing that I appreciated most about Keane's portrayal is that nature, that sinister nature that we feel creeping up, and that sense of dread. Even if you're in that audience not knowing this history, you know who Putin is, and you know what he goes on to do. So throughout all the events of the show, you know what's coming as Putin climbs closer and closer to power, but it's never comical. It's never over the top. It's never complete villainy. It's still presented as so extremely human. I really enjoyed Joseph Davies as Alexander Litvinenko, and it's really interesting to see the character journey, going from completely dedicated to his employer to slowly seeing the corruption. The testing of his character doesn't really get the most focus in the play, but when it comes up, it is really interesting to see how his allegiance changes. This is a show that is really led by its leading cast, and these performers do a fantastic job, as well as some great supporting performances from Luke Thallon as Roman Abramovich, Ronald Gutman as Boris's professor, and Stephanie Martini as Marina Litvinenko. I loved a lot of the design elements of this show as well. It has this very interesting staging with this raised platform that kind of shoots out a little bit past the stage, and the lower sections being treated as like a bar, with these tall bar stools, and obviously the famous Almeida wall that goes around the back. This set is beautiful with its striking red neon lights. And it has these really great moments of imagery, especially in the moments where we see Putin and Abramovich on top of the mountain, where we hear this helicopter and the entire stage is covered with this thick layer of smoke. I think there is a lot to love about Patriots. There's a lot of great tension here. There's a lot of really interesting telling of history. It drags in places, but when it is focused on the tense conflict and the interesting character building of Boris Berevosky and Vladimir Putin, really works. And I find myself forgiving a lot of its flaws when it presents such thrilling conflict in its strongest moments. But what do you think? Have you seen Patriots? Are you interested about Patriots? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me out and helps out the channel. Here's some links to my other videos on the screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!